Greetings, brave adventurers! My name is FoxyBard, and I am back once more, as always, with RPG horror stories. This week we have the amusing, the frustrating, and a little bit of the downright, what are you doing, get out of here. But before we get to that, I have a little favor to ask of you. Like the video! Maybe also subscribe to the channel. If you want. I'm still gonna tell the stories either way. In fact, let's just get right to it. Our first story comes to us from the user The Real Licala and is entitled DM Creates an Entire Banlist of Races, Subclasses, and Spells. And this one is less a horror story and more of a... well, it's amusing. You'll see. Tale start. I'm happy for Storytime YouTubers to narrate this. This has no personal ties to me and won't bring me the attention of people I'd rather avoid. Well, okay then. I'll do just that. Not so much a horror story as it is a WTF moment, but my current group talked me into posting this. So this happened almost a year ago. I was scrolling Roll20 for a D&D campaign to join that was happening at a reasonable time and not the ass crack of dawn or the dead of night. Yay, time zones! I came across a campaign by a user whose name I will not mention because I don't want them getting picked on, with a pretty cool plot hook. The party grew up in an orphanage and are returning to it to face some of their old memories and traumas. Great hook, awesome horror vibes, very Rule of Rose, a horror game by Atlas released in 2006, and absolutely not something you should play in D&D. What are you doing D&D for that? That sounds like a... Never mind. It's fine. I'm already interested, but as I'm scrolling down for more details, I see the words, banned races or species. I think to myself, that's odd, but I guess it's understandable. Not every race is going to fit into a homebrew campaign. See image 1. I will be reading all 3 of the images at the end. You're not ready. Okay, so it looks like this guy wants to mostly keep the races to the player's handbook? Some weird choices though, like saying a Kenku is somehow bad because of their mimicry, when that's literally how they communicate with each other is a choice. Also, I checked. Leonins don't get an AC boost from their main. Their claws do give a boost to their strength mod though. Again, you'll see. It doesn't end there, though. I shrugged, giving this guy the benefit of the doubt, and scrolled down more, only to find a list titled Banned Classes. See image 2. This is where the benefit ended, and I started scratching my head. Sorelock/Coffee Lock and Hexblade, sure, I get it. But he's basically banned about 20% of the 100-something subclasses in D&D? Roughly, I'm not a math person. Mind you, he hadn't noted down anything about artificers or blood hunters. Yeah, that's because blood hunters aren't official. But most of these are in the PHB or Xanathars, with the rest being from Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, or Tasha's, or the Dungeon Master's Guide for the Oathbreaker Paladin. And it's just feeling weirdly specific, especially when you can essentially boil his reasons down to too much damage or too much CC. Look. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is not remotely close to a balanced game, but this is not how you fix that. Then we have the banned spells list, see image 3. I showed this to my current DM, and even he was scratching his head. In his experience, most of these spells aren't typical ones a player takes anyways, save for about a handful. Silvery Barbs and Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion, given the setting, that's understandable. But to my immediate recollection, most of these are 6th level spells, and if you're accessing super powerful spells like those, then you're around level 11 in Bard, Sorcerer, or Wizard, and probably expecting to fight the Abrahamic God at the climax of the campaign. No, that's 20th level, man, not 11. Some of these spells are more like random bullshit the DM can pull for the sake of creating tension during a scene. Okay. I know Baldur's Gate stops at level 12, and it's mostly because D&D 5e breaks down above that point, and honestly it kind of breaks down before that point, but level 11 is not fighting God. Level 11 is, fighting stronger monsters, sure, but it goes to 20, man! Needless to say, I didn't end up throwing my name in the hat for this campaign, and I haven't seen the dude on Roll20 since. My current group encouraged me to post the screenshots here for others to enjoy? But I'm mostly putting this here for the sake of discussion, which I hope is allowed. I don't know. It was just weird to see, and everyone I've spoken about it with agrees that it's strange. What do you think? Yeah, it's pretty strange. Let's take a look at those lists of banned everything. Oh, you're not ready. Banned races or species. Bugbear, long-limbed trait and surprise attack ability. Aarakocra, flying speed. Triton, resistance to cold and fire, control water ability. Yuan-Ti Pureblood, magic resistance, immunity to poison. Azamar, protector, healing hands, radiant soul. Azamar, scourge. Radiant consumption, necrotic resistance. Azamar, fallen. Necrotic shroud, additional damage. Tabaxi, feline agility and climb speed. Furbolg, detect magic, disguise self, and speech of beast and leaf. Goliath, powerful build and stone's endurance. Kenku, expert forgery and mimicry. Lizard folk, natural armor, bite attack, and cunning artisan. Triton, Triton's on here twice. Githyanki, decent stats and martial prowess. Githzerai psionics. Kalishtar, mind link and resistance to psychic damage. Changeling, shape change and deception abilities. Warforged, immunity to poison, sleep, and disease, self-repair. Satyr, magic resistance, charm resistance. Minotaur, horns attack and some resilience features. Centaur, charge attack and hooves. Loxodon, natural armor and powerful build, and not from Dungeons & Dragons, they're from Magic the Gathering. Leonin, temporarily boosted AC with their main, not correct, and also not from Dungeons & Dragons, they're from Magic the Gathering. Shifter, Beasthide, bonus HP and increased AC. Shifter, Longtooth, bite attack and increased damage. Shifter, Wild Hunt, advantage on tracking and some speed boosts. Triton, Tortle, that says Tortle. I thought Triton was on here a third time. No, that says Tortle, natural armor and retractable claws. We're not done. Tiefling, winged, infernal legacy and flight. Tiefling, feral, tail attack and other physical boosts. Tiefling, Mephistopheles, innate spellcasting and bonus spells. Anything that flies. Okay, I actually agree with the anything that flies. Flight in D&D 5e is completely overpowered because there's no, way for it to possibly fail. So, D&D 5e flight is busted. But that's a different thing. Everything in the system is busted because none of it's balanced. All of this seems fine. What, do you just, not want people to be able to do anything? Again, the flight thing is the only one of these I think is remotely understandable. The rest of these are just stupid. But wait, there's 2 more lists we still have to get to. Banned classes. Twilight Domain Cleric provides powerful defensive and healing abilities. Yeah, that's what clerics do. Divine Soul Sorcerer combines the versatility of Sorcerer with cleric spells. Sorcerers are widely considered to be the worst spellcaster in D&D. Coffee Lock, Warlock Sorcerer combination, uses short rests to convert Warlock spells to sorcery points, and then creates Sorcerer spell slots without the long rests level of exhaustion. Yeah, this one is a fundamental problem with the system, and how it does multiclassing, but also, actually no, this ban is fine, you can ban this one. Hexblade Warlock, a subclass that allows charisma for melee attacks, making a potent Gish spell sword. Yeah, what's wrong with that, man? It's fine. The people have fun. Lore Bard combines skill versatility with magical support. Yes, that's what bards do. Shepherd Druid, summoning and buffing abilities. Yes, that's what druids do. Battlemaster Fighter, Superior combat maneuvers. Yeah, that's what Okay, little soapbox for a second. The Battlemaster fighter was originally what all fighters were going to be in D&D 5e, and the playtesters were like, no, this makes fighters too good and interesting, and we can't have that. And so they nerfed him to be the most boring thing in creation. Look at what you could have had and what they took from you. Anyway, Battlemasters are fine and the only way to play fighters. Moon Druid. Powerful wild shape options. Yeah, that's what druids do. Sun Soul Monk. Ranged attack capabilities for a traditionally melee-focused class. Literally any melee class can go ranged. You could build a bow-focused fighter and it would be kind of really good. Gloomstalker Ranger. Enhanced stealth and combat abilities. Yeah, that's what rangers do. Soarlock. Sorcerer-Warlock combination. This was already touched on. Conquest Paladin. Strong crowd control and fear effects. Okay. And? Oath of Ancients Paladin. Resilient tank with anti-magic aura. Okay. And? Zealot Barbarian. Near immortal tanking capabilities. Everyone in 5e is near immortal. The system doesn't really let you kill people very easily. Eldritch Knight Fighter. Combines martial prowess with arcane spellcasting. What's wrong with that? Assassin Rogue. High burst damage potential. Yeah, that's what rogues do. Arcane Trickster Rogue. Combines rogue sneakiness with spellcasting. What's wrong? You could build a wizard to be sneaky. It's very easy. Drake Warden Ranger. Summons and bonds with a Dragonling companion. What's wrong with that? Okay, well, maybe there's not dragons in his setting, but he's playing Dungeons and Dragons. Although there are just a depressingly small amount of dragons in Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of a failing. Both editions of Pathfinder have more dragons than Dungeons and Dragons. Abjuration Wizard. Exceptional defenses against spell damage. Okay, and? Evocation Wizard. High damage output with spells. I mean, yes, okay, magic in D&D 5e is kind of way too good compared to what other options are. But this is what they're supposed to do. This is the point. Shadow Sorcerer. Strong survivability and crowd control. Everyone has strong survivability, it's 5e, and there's nothing wrong with crowd control. Ancestral Guardian Barbarian. Protects allies by redirecting damage. Okay, so then they'll get downed first and it's fine. Divination Wizard. Ability to influence outcomes by manipulating dice rolls. Honestly, these feel a little weird and a little broken, but I promise you it's actually fine because they're worse at other things. Oathbreaker Paladin. Strong offensive capabilities and necrotic damage. Again, what's wrong with that? Swashbuckler Rogue. Superior dueling capabilities. So, do you not want people to be able to do anything? Tempest Cleric. Deals heavy damage and controls the battlefield. Again? What's the problem with that? Valor Bard. Combines bardic inspiration with martial abilities. You can do that with any bard, they're just slightly better at it. Oh my god. Bladesinger Wizard. Melee combat combined with arcane prowess. What's wrong with that? Celestial Warlock. Combines healing and ranged damage. That is not a problem. Necromancer Wizard. Controls undead and deals with necrotic magic. Okay, I guess if you want no necromancy, that is sort of okay. But this is bad. This is just you're not even playing Dungeons and Dragons anymore. What? Alright, let's look at this. What does this person actually want people to be able to do? Because from what I can gather we have one more list to look at, actually. And then we'll decide. Banned spells. Silvery Barbs. Okay, fair. It's kind of broken and most people do ban it. Wish. Honestly, if you have a problem with Wish, it's because you're not running it right. True Polymorph. Right, this person hates crowd control. Simulacrum. Wait, what's wrong with that? It costs 1500 GP and takes 12 hours to cast. And it's 7th level, and you only get one of it. What? Power word, kill. It's just a good spell, man. It doesn't actually kill. It's... Meteor Swarm. It's just damage. What's wrong with that? Feeble Mind. Time Stop. Mass Suggestion. Force Cage. Imprisonment. Dominate Monster. Invulnerability. Shape Change. Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion. Teleport. Clone. Etherealness. Plane Shift. Foresight. Gate. Delayed Blast Fireball, but only when combined with certain strategies? What? Sunburst. Disintegrate. Magic Jar. Power Word Stun. Otto's Irresistible Dance. Prismatic Spray. Anti-Magic Field. And Regenerate can be very potent in the right circumstances. Tail End. You'll notice about like 3-4 into that last one, I just stopped trying to digest every single spell. I don't think this person wants to play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think they want to play D&D. They seem like they want to play literally anything else. And yet, they're insisting on playing D&D 5e, but twisting it and contorting it and banning it until it resembles whatever fucked up version that they personally want. But okay, we'll look at this. This person hates crowd control. Sort of. He didn't actually ban that many crowd control spells, but he hates it because he calls it out in the classes, despite not actually banning. He also hates players' ability to deal damage. Okay, so he doesn't want the players to be able to end fights quickly, which is a problem, because every fight in D&D past like level 3 or 4 is just a hit point sponge. But he also doesn't want players to resist damage, because he bans a bunch of healers and a bunch of classes with, quote, high damage resistance or whatever, like... So he wants you to deal no damage, but take full damage and not be able to control the battlefield. So does he just want like 5 fighters that walk forward, attack twice, get hit back, and do that for 20 minutes in the most boring possible way until one or all of them inevitably go down? Not to mention, that concept for a campaign, while that sounds really, really interesting, it does not sound like a good fit for Dungeons and Dragons. Not at all. But D&D players will literally break their system entirely and ban most of it before they'd ever try something else. Although, sometimes some of the ones that do try something else do so in the wrong way. Next story. Our next story comes to us from the user Jilly Beanie and is entitled Story About a Weirdo Who Hated D&D. Now, I know that I am kind of a weirdo who doesn't particularly like D&D, but I'm not this guy. This is the story about a man who is correct about 2 or 3 things for all of the wrong reasons, and very incorrect about everything else he does. Tales start. This happened a few years ago. One of my friends decided to run Curse of Strahd. Oh, it's always Curse of Strahd. Isn't it with an H? But we didn't have a group. He asked me to post an LFG post on our local TTRPG space. We gathered the group and started the game. Few people lost interest in the game right after a few sessions. It's normal, Strahd's not actually a very well put together module. And only one of them stuck around. Pete. It's a story about him. Why is it always Curse of Strahd? Actually, this time, Strahd is more incidental than anything, has nothing to do with it beyond being the setting where this took place. Good job, Curse of Strahd. You did it right once, except you're Curse of Strahd now, so here we are. Persons of interest. Pete. Random, who replied to LFG post. He was playing a girl cleric of light. DM. A friend of mine. Monk. Old friend of DM. Rogue. Also old friend of DM, she joined us later. Me. I was playing a paladin named Agnes. At least I think that's pronounced Agnes. Everything started as usual. We were traveling with the caravan and got lost in the mist. Standard Curse of Strahd stuff. Everybody seemed chill, we were playing weekly online, and it was common for us to hang out after the game in Discord to just share a few laughs or chat about life. Of course everyone was invited, so Pete would stick around after the game, but every time we would start discussing D&D in any way, he would say something extremely derogatory about the system. Oh no, I would do that sometimes. Oops. After a few such episodes, I asked him, "Hey, you seem to not enjoy the game. Why are you playing D&D?" He confessed that he really didn't like D&D, but nobody wanted to play the game he preferred. PBTA. Powered by the Apocalypse! Now that is actually a game system that is way better than D&D. But, not for the reasons this guy brings up. I felt bad for him, and he said it was super fun, much better than D&D, and we should all try it. This is a case where he is actually correct. Unfortunately, well, you'll see. After a few games, I start to notice a pattern. His character would only speak to mine, like at all, to an extent where he would constantly say, "I want to take Agnes aside to talk." I didn't think about it much, we both were servants of gods, so having some kind of a bond made sense, but it went to weird situations where there would only be 3 characters in the room, and he would request for our characters to step outside to talk, leaving Monk out of the conversation. Weird, I thought to myself, but not a red flag yet. Few sessions in, we were introduced to our new party member, Rogue. Important to note that Rogue's player is a woman in her early 20s. Her introduction was very cool. Her character, she was playing this brutish, tattooed criminal, got brutally murdered in front of our eyes. While this was happening, I texted DM, "That was cool, is she playing a phantom rogue?" And he told me to have patience. While the scene was playing out, Pete suddenly blew up and started arguing that DM was unfair, and he didn't even give poor girl a chance, and that DM shouldn't kill characters like that. This was obviously planned. We had to literally calm him down, and Rogue said something like, "Chill, dude, we talked about it." He didn't believe her. It sounds like a really cool, planned introduction to the character. I like it. What are you doing, Pete? This was the first red flag. He didn't trust the DM. I guess his reaction might have been fair. I've known DM for a long time by that point, and played in a few of his games, and he was playing in mine. Maybe there's no way to give this kind of trust to a random person right away, but I have a strong belief that you can't enjoy the game with such a mentality. What for me was a cool interaction where I immediately understood where the situation was going. Rogue wanted to be risen from the dead. Pete saw only what he called DM tyranny. An abuse of Rogue who, for whatever reason, Stinky Pete felt obligated to protect. We continued the game, raised the Rogue from the dead, and finished the session. We talked after the game about trusting your DM. Stinky Pete reminded us that he hates D&D and left. Not relevant to what just happened at all, Stinky Pete. Because that's who this guy is. He's Stinky Pete, the Disney character. The villain. Red flag number 2 came up in one of our next games. We gathered in the voice chat, and Rogue was missing. I told the DM that she probably messed up the time because of the time zone, and he should text her. Pete became unusually interested in this detail, and started asking what time zone and what is that all about. We told him that she lives in Europe, and he seemed weirdly excited about this information. For the context, Pete was from somewhere where living in Europe was considered prestigious. I didn't pay attention at the time, but Rogue told me after the game that he texted her and said she has a beautiful accent. I can't do a Stinky Pete, but I'm trying. She had no accent. She immigrated to Europe only a few years prior and was speaking the same language as Pete. He tried hitting on her, and he was like almost 15 years older than her. Creep. Like I said, Stinky Pete. The game continued, and his weird behavior persisted. His character was still only talking to mine. He was insisting on us doing weird things, like burning children. After one of the sessions, Pete reminded us that he hates D&D and left. I was sitting in the chat with Monk and DM and said, "Hey, guys, I don't know how I feel about Pete." Monk started to defend him, saying that he is just a bit not socialized and it will get better. Monk also said that he feels like Pete just doesn't understand the system and we should help him. Monk offered to run a one-shot for me and Pete. It was a one-shot for 2 people, and the DM already played it, and Rogue was too busy with uni. I agreed. Sometime next week, we gathered to play Monk's one-shot. It was a well-designed, silly little heist that encouraged creative solutions. We played as 2 pre-made halfling brothers. Their names were Sam and Dean. Okay. I really enjoyed it. Pete was a bit struggling, but we managed it. After the game, we stayed to talk, and Pete was like, "You guys should try PBTA. I have a one-shot. Do you want to try it?" Monk persuaded me to join, and we agreed to play next week. Okay, you're willing to try. That's good. Unfortunately, this is a red flag number 3. The one-shot. It all started with him messaging me and saying, "In my one-shot, you can choose your character's gender." Okay, I guess. I was just fine playing anything, but sure. I just said that I'm not going to change anything. We joined the one-shot, and it was exactly the same one-shot. Characters were the same. Task was the same. Pete also tried to do exactly the same characters, but his setting was low magic, so some features just didn't work. For example, my rogue had a familiar in Monk's one-shot. In Pete's one-shot, I also played a, quote, rogue, but with none of my rogue's abilities, and had a familiar that couldn't do anything. So the thing is, okay, PBTA is a very story-driven system, and the actions you can do are mostly vibes-based, I guess. A lot of it is just sort of, you want to try to do this thing, you roll 2d6 to decide how it goes. It's less like beat certain DCs or get a certain number. Like, failing a roll is not a bad thing in PBTA a lot of the time. It's not a crunchy combat system. Anyway, I asked my familiar to hook a rope on a hook in a tower, and he said it wasn't realistic, and familiar couldn't do that. Probably could. The other thing he was praising his system for, and hated D&D, was initiative. You need a turn order, man. My system doesn't have initiative. Initiative is stupid. We went into combat, and I asked to do something, and he said, "It's not your turn." I thought there was no initiative. What he actually meant was, I decide the order of turns, and not the dice. He was trying to show his superior system, and decided to rewrite Monk's one-shot and make it better by adding more content. It was simply rude. We stayed after the one-shot to talk and give feedback. We were just chatting, and Pete decided to share a story. And here's where things go off the fucking rails. He said that he always dreamed of playing with a woman DM, and turns out women are very bad at DMing. I was flabbergasted. I asked him what he meant, and he said that he played with a woman DM this weekend, and she was bad, and he realized that women are bad at DMing. I'm just gonna give you a second with that. Okay. I thought he can't be serious. It's probably a crude joke, but no. For context, I was running my own game at the time, and he knew about it. Me and Monk started talking to him to try and understand his thinking process. He legit decided that all women are bad at DMing just because he didn't enjoy this one girl's game. I asked him if he understands that women don't share traits like that, and if one woman is bad at one particular thing, all other women are not bad at it too. Like, if he would meet a bad DM who is a man, would he think that all men are bad at it? He got a bit mad and left the call. Of course he did. I swear, as soon as you call these guys out, they just go into incoherent rage. At least he left instead of screaming. He privately messaged me in a few hours to tell me to not dare imply that he's sexist because he thinks that in a perfect world, men wouldn't exist, but for now, he refuses to deny reality. Oh, okay, he's right a second time, but again, for all of the wrong reasons. I'm kidding, that is a joke? I was even more flabbergasted after this conversation and told him that I'm not buying the act. I'm kidding, of course, some of my best friends are men. I honestly don't remember if we played only one session after this or a few. We had a very anticlimactic fight because of real-life time restraints, with which the DM was a bit disappointed, and Stinky Pete's last sessions started with us fighting that fight again. In the previous session, we escaped, but this one started at the beginning of the fight again. Odds didn't look too good in our favor. Characters started going down one by one, and as Pete's character went down, he blew up. He started ranting at the DM for being horrible, and how he's tired of this bullshit. He sent us a waving Pocahontas gif in the chat, and left the server. As the last character went down, the DM narrated how we all woke up in the safety of the tavern in a cold sweat. I like this DM. I do. I actually think I would have maybe enjoyed Stroud under this DM. Sorry, Stroud. Like that, the spirit of Stinky Pete was banished from our game. Monk's wife, who was friends with the DM, did a deep dive into his internet life and found a lot of concerning stuff, like his posts that women shouldn't have names and should be called Female 1 and Female 2. His wild fantasies about the mutilation of women and his struggles to find friends. I wonder why. Okay, that escalated fast. Our group kept carrying one of the cringe things out of the long list that I didn't even bother to mention. He would leave the voice chat just to later come back and sit with his mic turned off. I don't know if he was trying to be sneaky or felt insecure, but he would do that over and over again without responding. At least say hi, weirdo. We do that sometimes as a joke and call it pulling a Pete. Tail end, and at least you can laugh about it now because that is actually some genuinely horrifying stuff near the end there. OP doesn't say here, but judging from context and character names and stuff, I'm going to guess that OP is a woman or woman-aligned, at least. Woman-adjacent. Which would explain why this Andrew Tate-sucking weirdo would want to specifically talk with them and nobody else. Also, what a genuinely horrible way to try to introduce people to a genuinely great system. Powered by the Apocalypse and all of the various derivatives thereof is a wonderful game. It's so fun. It's so cool. My personal favorite PBTA system is, obviously, Thirsty Sword Lesbians by Evil Hat, which is phenomenal. Get it. Play it. You might actually already have it because it's in almost every one of those TTRPGs for trans healthcare charities on Humble Bundle. You probably already have it if you've supported one of those. It's amazing. Please play it. You will have a lot of fun so long as you don't try to treat it like D&D, because it isn't. It's very different. In the story, I said it was just generically better, and I can't say that outright. It's a very different game with a very different style and feel, but it is excellent. Not how Stinky Pete chose to do it. Also, okay, I played into the joke a little about the world would be better if men didn't exist, which is just not true. It's funny to say, but it's not actually true. Fellas, we need you. Just don't be like this guy, okay? Oh, or this next guy. Moving on. Our last story comes to us from Nat Wrights, and is titled, "And I Gave Up Pathfinder for 13 Years." This one's dear to my heart because it involves someone being a horrible ambassador for my favorite game, and causing someone to walk away from it for over a decade. It's probably not the most horrifying story, it's nothing compared to that last guy, but it matters to me. So, tales start. I'm about to start GMing Pathfinder 1st Edition for the first time, and as I've gone about learning the rules, it reminded me of my one and only experience playing Pathfinder. So when 4th edition D&D came out, I enjoyed it, but after a few years I found myself missing the feel of 3rd edition. Luckily, my area had a pretty active Pathfinder society, led by the local venture captain. We'll call him Cap. I'd become friendly with Cap. He was a nice, smart dude and seemed like a good GM, so I asked him if he would organize a first-level session for new players. He happily agreed. Uh-oh, an M-. I can't wait for everyone in the comments to say, the 3rd story was probably written by AI because there's an M-. I was jazzed to try out Pathfinder's Gunslinger class, so I rolled one up and chose the Pistolero archetype. Oh, that one's not bad. It's not as good as, unfortunately, the archetype that doesn't use guns. Bolt Ace is probably the best gunslinger, which is a crossbow user. Which, yeah, I know. I didn't want to spend every other turn reloading my pistol, of course, so I took the Rapid Reload feat, which says, the time required for you to reload your chosen type of weapon is reduced to a move action for heavy crossbows or one-handed firearm. Reloading a crossbow or firearm still provokes attacks of opportunity. So far, so good. Probably the most essential feat for any gunslinger, regardless of archetype. All of them. They all need Rapid Reload. So I arrive at the game, we start playing, and we reach our first combat. Everything's going great. I'm shooting goblins like a boss until one of them moves next to me. I blast it point blank, but it's still alive. So that should have provoked, actually. Shooting a ranged weapon in melee does provoke an attack of opportunity. Well, maybe it wasn't quite in melee yet, I don't know. Like, the feat point blank shot, which every ranged person is going to take, defines point blank as within 30 feet, so now I need to reload, but reloading next to an enemy provokes an attack of opportunity. That is, the goblin would get a free swing at me. So I say, I take a 5-foot step back and use my move action to reload my pistol. And Cap says, you can't do that. Cap is wrong. I'm just gonna be straight up with you. Cap is wrong. Some context. In Pathfinder 1st Edition, a 5-foot step is its own special thing. In the book, it's listed under miscellaneous actions, and you can only do it if you don't otherwise move any distance on your turn. All correct. The benefits are, 1, it doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity, which normal movement does, and 2, you can use your move action for something else, like standing up from prone, or in my case, reloading my pistol. Right? Yes, you're right. You are correct. That is how it works. Well, according to Cap, a 5-foot step is a move action, meaning I can't do that and reload on the same turn. Now I'm nervous. I'm brand new, and this guy is not only an experienced Pathfinder GM, but the lead organizer for my area. Surely he would know the rules better than I do. Absolutely not a guarantee with organized play. It's unfortunate, but oftentimes, organized play is kind of a shit show. Ooh, also, this means I get to rant about a change I hate in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So, in 2nd Edition, a 5-foot step, just called a step, is one action. You get 3 actions per turn. In 1st Edition, it's a free action, but you can only do it once per turn, and only if you don't otherwise move. Just as she said. I don't like that change. I think it sucks, but, you know, it's whatever. But I'm generally good with rules, and I thought the book was pretty clear, so I politely explain my position and show him in the book how the 5-foot step isn't actually listed with the other move actions, and how it specifically says you can do it as long as you don't move any distance, not as long as you don't take a move action. Nope, Cap says, it's a move action. This is an incredibly significant and crippling nerf to most classes in the game to do it that way. It actually makes 1st edition Pathfinder combat not work right to turn it into a move action. Well, he's the GM and I'm not trying to pick a fight, so I shrug and say, okay. but for the rest of the game, anytime an enemy is next to me, which is most of the time, I can either waste half my turns reloading my weapon, or get attacked every time I do. I was so frustrated at feeling like my character had been arbitrarily nerfed that I gave up trying to learn Pathfinder until now, 13 years later. Addendum. Naturally, now that I plan to GM Pathfinder, I wanted to know what the correct ruling is. So I asked on the Paizo forums. I was right. Tail end. Now, the real horror of this horror story is that this happened in Pathfinder society. This happened in organized play. This is meant to be the people who are experts at the game. These are the people who are authorized by Paizo in order to properly run games and adventure paths and things. And for him to get such a fundamental ruling wrong is unacceptable. Like, liberal use of the 5-foot step is the only way combat works in Pathfinder 1st Edition. It is absolutely essential to everyone. And that's what makes this so egregious, because how is anyone ever going to full round attack? How is anyone ever going to cast spells? How is anyone ever going to do anything? Like, it goes so far beyond just ranged people stuck in melee. It's everyone. And it is such a shame that someone who's supposed to be an ambassador and a representative of the game did you so wrong. I'm sorry. Oh, but that will do it for Female 1 for today. Don't forget to like the video if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You can find all my socials down in the video description, as well as a link to the FoxyBard Discord server. We'd love to have you there. We talk about RPGs and a whole bunch of other stuff. I share way too many pictures of my cats, and you can enjoy them with the rest of us. And of course, what Female 1 video would be complete without shouting out all of my patrons over on patreon.com/FoxyBard. They help keep me motivated and help keep the channel going and growing. I appreciate them endlessly, and you can see their names scrolling by the screen right now. If you would like to add your name to this list of wonderful humans, and potentially non-humans, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/FoxyBard and signing up for as little as $1 a month. It gets you videos early, basically as soon as I finish them, and ad-free, so you can watch without being interrupted by I don't even know what ads YouTube is running these days. Probably not good ones, they never do. So go check it out. Patreon.com/FoxyBard. Now, I think Female 1 here has spent far too much time talking, so I need to go and, I don't know, try to find a Female 2 for me somewhere. Who knows? I guess I'll see how that happens. Bye!